Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scarbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is, what is today? Yes, Wednesday, October 6th, or it could already be Thursday in the 7th in Australia. Today we have a new moon in the sign of Libra. New moons are always points of new beginnings. The new moon is the start of the lunation cycle that lasts for the month from new moon to new moon. And this one, as many of them in the past have been, is, and you may be tired of hearing this from me or from other astrologers, or astrologists. I guess that's a thing too. Is an intense new moon. I thinking back, which is just like vaguely thinking back, there might have been one new moon this year so far that we didn't have the word intense in front of, and it probably had the descriptor of slightly less intense than the previous or future moons. Maybe that's what we said. Well, today is a humdinger. Yep. So why is that? Well, couple of reasons. The new moon is conjunct Mars. Yes, Mars. Now, the interesting thing about the relationship between Mars and this new moon is that when you look at how planets interact with each other in their cycles, in their synodic cycles. Synodic cycle is, again, from conjunction to conjunction, whether it's the sun and the moon, or the sun and Mars, or Venus and Mars, or Pluto and Uranus. There's always a starting point to these. Now, depending on what planets are coming together, separating and coming back together, where they are in the solar system, depends on how long it's going to take. Of course, Pluto and Uranus came together in 1965 and 1966. Between 2012 and 2015, it had 7 exact squares from that initial conjunction. And that was over, 50 years later, I think, or almost 50 years later. So that's a long-term cycle. Those long-term cycles generally deal with more cultural and evolutionary things because it takes longer for them to happen. There's a process through them. And so a conjunction is in orb, so to speak, in a cycle like that for a couple of years as it approaches and as it goes past. So there's always a time period, but lunations are just for the month. And that's what we look at with the sun and the moon. This sun and moon new moon is about new ways of relating. If we look at Mars, however, Mars is part of a synodic cycle that began back in, I want to say 2019. You could check my astrology of the week from October 1st to October 10th because I give you the specifics on that. Although that's a longer video, so it's one of those things where you might have to take a little bit in and then take a break and take a little bit in. But I get more specific on that. The synodic cycle between the sun and Mars actually begins anew on the 8th, 2 days after the new moon, which means that the relationship between Mars and the sun, the illumination of actions needed, began in 2019 and are coming to fruition actually at this point, right? At the end of that cycle is actually Friday before it starts again. And the significant thing of that is that it occurred in Virgo. And Virgo deals with analyzing what needs to be taken care of, what's broken and what needs to be fixed. And the Sabian symbol for that deals with the ability to be to transcend duality while living within it. That was the theme of the Mars Sun synodic cycle last time. And it's come to its end point right at the time of this new moon. So what does that mean? It means that we need to take those lessons that we learned through that period of time, 2019 to 2021, and apply them to this new moon. Apply them to this new moon. So that's interesting. The other interesting thing about this new moon is it is near exactly in conjunct Uranus. Now, nearly exact in conjunct Uranus, a little bit later in the day, on the same day today, we have the exact in conjunct between the Sun and Uranus, and of course the Moon and Uranus, because the Moon moves faster. So we have the Moon make an exact in conjunct to Uranus right after the new moon, and then we have the Sun shortly thereafter in the day. So in conjuncts are about flies in the ointment. It's about missing the mark. It's irritating. It's like, I think I've got it. And then you do it and you find out that that's not exactly right. Well, what in conjuncts take is a certain amount of willingness to adapt, a willingness to be humble, a willingness to sort of hold back a bit before you make proclamations of victory or proclamations of anything for that matter, because it's not quite right yet. It's not quite right yet. So that means there's going to be a lot of maybe trial and error when it comes to relating, because this is what we're talking about, relationship. Now, dare we remember, or must we remember, or we definitely should remember, that Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Libra. Incidentally, Libra is the psychology of listening. So it's time perhaps we should start listening to one another instead of fighting a position where we might not have all the answers or all the information. So with Mercury retrograde, we have to really listen. And then, do that active listening thing. I've talked about it a couple of times. And I think actually I heard Ann Orley and Amanda Poole-Walsh talk about that yesterday. Not in so many words. But this is what I heard you say. What did you think I said? This is what I heard you said. Oh, so people are saying things, but of course, the people who they're saying them to only hear it through their own sort of lens of perception or lens of understanding or even what's on their mind. Let me give you an example, a personal example. I gave somebody that I love a little lecture about the vaccine. Now, I was a little bit crazed at the time, so I'll give them that. I was a little stringent or strident, but I was nervous because this person had not gotten the vaccine and the Delta variant was growing, and luckily we're in a state where, it's not as much of an issue, although I guess it's in New England, so they will have issues with it eventually. But my point was, you need to get as much information as you can. And you need to not just get your information from, say, Facebook. And this person jumped down my throat and insisted that I don't talk about it at all. They don't want to hear it. And then I said, well, when I'm around you, I'm going to have to wear a mask now when I go out, because then when I come around you, I don't want you to worry about me. I don't want you to wear a mask for me. I don't want you to. And I was just, kind of taken aback. I think part of the problem in that situation was he didn't really understand where I was coming from, because he was so sure of his facts, which were, quite frankly, not really facts. So we did come to a peace about it. You have to allow people, even if it's against your better judgment. You have to allow people their choices. And so it went down to, me coming to the point where I said, all right, well, I said my piece, you said your piece, it's your decision. I'm going to live my life as normally as I can, but I'm still careful around this person because I know that there's a better chance because of their actions that they could be in harm's way. So I'm still careful, but I don't say anything to them. I don't say, oh, by the way, I had to wear that mask when I went to Walmart because you haven't had a shot. I don't say anything like that. So the point of that is I said something and he heard something else. He heard me attacking him and calling him stupid, which I might have said the word stupid once. But I think I said something like, it's stupid to just get your information from one source, is I think what I said about stupid. But of course he heard you're stupid. So, yeah, it was fun. Anyway, that's what I mean. We have to actually listen to each other. Stop. Take what you want to say or your point of view and put it aside. Now, for me, sometimes I have to write it down because I get distracted and I get off on another point. So if you have some points, write them down. And then when it's your time to talk, then you can talk about something, your concerns or whatever. Or even just, this is what I heard you say. Is this what you said? Yes, I said that. No, I didn't say that. I can't believe you heard that. But what that does is it helps us understand that the things that we intend to say, in the spirit that we intend to say them, are easily misinterpreted. And everybody is so damn reactive these days that it's really hard to just sit down and have a conversation. And I think this new moon is asking us to sit down and to have a conversation. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little view into my crazy world and what's possible with this new moon. Have yourself a great day. Like and subscribe. And as always, take good care of yourself. We're in this together. We're going to make it to the other side. Focus on what you love. Love what you do. Do what you love. And everything else will fall into place. Much love, everyone.